when I'm in a studio and the person with me there is the great Eloho. It just makes me smile. How are you? How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. It was fun, reflective though, with the Queen's passing and all of that, and her cortege passing through Edinburgh. So it was a good weekend, but reflective. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, agreed, agreed. And also because we have a new prime minister as well, you know.
Yeah,
So
we have a new prime minister. We have a new king.
all these new things. So someone sent me a message and said that they were asked to speak about direction in their department, right? And I think it's partly to do with this whole new thing. And they're
Mhm.
like, they really try and avoid it, that they prefer to write things down. And I'm like, oh gosh, that this should be, for some of us, it's second nature. For some of us, it's not a skill we're born with, it's a skill we learn,
Yep.
But wherever you are, I just thought, do you know what? I'm going to help that client. So I've already booked some one-on-ones with them. I'm going to help them on that. But apart from that client, I am so interested, Eloho. I want to know what questions you have for me. That's what I want to
Oh
know.
my goodness. I can't wait to dive in because public speaking, oh my goodness, I remember back in the day when I used to work full time, and the people were all in a room, but there's always that one person who seemed, to have it all together, who knows and they're just using the buzzwords, they're using the correct terms and all of that. And I would just shrink because I'm like, I don't think I'm that organized, and I don't think that I have it all together. So one of my questions for you as a public speaker, how do you get to that point where you are so organized, you know what is coming next, the one thing I find fascinating is how some of these speakers who have honed in their craft, how they're able to carry, you know, us as the listeners, audience, or congregation, whatever, carry us and take us through the process. So, how do you get to that point where you are really organized? You know every word you're going to say. You are able to take your listeners and your audience through the journey, through the process. So, please do tell us and share, Coach.
Okay, okay. You know what? Let me start with, I'm going to start with the end, right? And this is the truth, is learnt. It's
Mm,
nothing that I was born with the ability to talk, but I was not born with the ability to organize a speech like that, right?
yeah.
So what you've just described is what I would call the power of persuasion. It's having
Wow.
what we call an influential speech, or other people will call it an emotive speech, something that
Okay.
has a beginning, which is deliberately orchestrated. So it's not a mistake. It starts with the beginning. It carries you
Beginning.
from the beginning in that narrative, and it takes you to a middle point, right? And that
Mm,
middle point, you're able to reflect, and most likely you're able to see yourself in that narrative. So
yeah.
when you're you're probably at work, or this is a good one. So if you're addressing a room of colleagues, when you're speaking from that very beginning, you need to make sure that the speech isn't just about what you feel and what you want. You need to make sure that that
Oh,
speech is what people in the room are thinking. So
wow. I
people
like
need
that.
to see themselves in it. You need to see
I like
Harry and Bob and Addy and
mm,
Nicky. They have to be in there. They have to see this is what I
mm,
was thinking. Their vested interests have to be embedded into that speech. Like so
wow.
say things like, so as we were going along, it was last Tuesday that Nick had made that brilliant suggestion, and that's what caused us to pivot. And while I was going through the notes, Tom said, "When you're doing anything, you're
That's
carrying people.
amazing. Yeah.
You're carrying
Wow.
people. So it's not just about name dropping; it's to
Mm,
include them so that
include
they
them.
enjoy the journey from the beginning, and
Yeah.
then you take them to a middle ground. That middle ground is where you are then saying that, well, on behalf of all the people I've mentioned, this is what the next step should be. So all of a sudden, you're getting their buying. You're getting
Mm,
their buying, and people are watching other people's body language. They're watching. Hold on, Tom is smiling. Jennifer sat up. People are paying attention. So people start to read
yeah.
that. Hold on, this is a persuasive speech because you're carrying your audience, right? So I hear people say carry your audience, but what I'm doing now, I'm telling you how to carry your
How
audience.
to carry your audience.
How it's so important, right? And when
That's
you're doing that,
and yeah.
there's some confidence that comes. You're going to say something. Go ahead.
No, I said that's brilliant because I'm just thinking back now. Usually when people want to start a talk, they just go on probably, start talking about themselves and everything that they've achieved or everything that they've done. But it is so interesting that you have pointed that out. Get people included from the start. Because usually you would think, okay, maybe somewhere in the middle I can talk about, how they have helped. But no, get people included from the start, and then you just grab their attention so that when you're now providing the solution, they are already in. Wow, that's amazing. Thanks, coach.
Yeah, I know the beauty of it, right? Is that someone would say, "Is that public speaking?" Yes, it is. Because imagine yourself having a room of 5 people, 10, or even 200, and you're speaking at them, not with them, and they're just nodding their heads, and they're playing on their WhatsApp or they're sending messages. I can't wait to get out of here. And people wonder why that happens. It's because people are thinking, if you're delivering this speech, the question is, why am I listening? Why am
Mm,
I listening? Am I listening because you're
okay.
paying? If you're paying my salary, I'm just going to listen, not because I like it, but because I need to get paid. So I'm just going to nod. But if
Yeah.
you want me to actually take action, if you embed a call to action, you want me to click and say, I want to book an appointment with you, click and say, I want to buy your product, click and say, I want to follow you, then it has to touch the heart of your audience. So
Mm,
in your public speech, I want you to think about yourself, as a guide. Think of yourself as a guide, and think of the people in the room, your colleagues, as superstars. They
oh,
deserve. They've worked hard. Yeah, they've worked hard. And if people think that you think they're superstars, what do you think they're going to do to you? At
mm,
the very least, they're going to like you.
of
They're going to
course.
like you, and they're going to be open to what you say, right?
Mm,
And so that is how you get the influence or the persuasion embedded in that public speech. So in that office, when you have to speak and there's a budget limit or there are different people pulling at that same budget, this is how you start to narrate in such a way that there's a reconsideration and that more of that budget comes your way. Or if you are into real estate and you need an investor to put his money in, and you're thinking, well, the investor's thinking, I have 100 projects I can choose from, why
yeah.
yours?
Why yours?
There
Exactly.
has to be a vested interest. It's not so much I like you, Mr. Investor. It's more about his returns on investment, right? And the surety of the returns, the visibility, the lack of anything complex. So people want to make sure that without asking you, you are already seeding in their interest, seeding their name, seeding their interest, seeding
Mm,
their passion. So when you're designing your speech, even when you sit down in a room and you're just called to do something, always embed, always embed what's in it for the other person or the other group. And you find that your speech has a bit more raw in it.
hmm. Wow, amazing. Always embed what is in it for them. All right, coach. Moving on. So, I mean, everything you've talked about now is people that I'm familiar with, maybe people I work with. What if I have to speak to an audience that they don't know me, I don't know them, or maybe it's a Zoom audience, that have just been invited to speak? How then do I, um, yeah, how do I carry them along knowing that they haven't worked with me or worked for me, or they haven't seen me anywhere before?
Okay. All right. So what I'll do once again, so anyone out there, there's two things. If you're engaging an audience that you cannot pre-prep them, you don't know what they like, you don't know who they are, but that
Exactly.
Zoom has a title, right? 7 ways to make more cash, 5 ways to become more healthy, 2 ways to grow your children, 1 way to travel. There's a title. The safest thing to do is to make sure that your speech is tied into that title and that you can prove that that title and your speech are a good solution or remedy for that audience. So,
Wow.
you know, if it's where to get cheap airline tickets from, I would think about a family budget. I would say, well, for example, I know that the kind of way you work and type of family you've got, when you go on holiday, you deserve to spend every penny
Yeah.
on your loved ones, on yourself and on your loved ones, right? So this is how we're going to help you cut and slash that ticket price. Not because of the airline, but because I want you to spend the money with your loved ones. So straight
Wow.
away, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's what I want. I want to spend the money on me,
Even
right?
I just bought into it now.
You know, so those are and that's an audience I don't know. So that is how it works, right? That is the content, and then the other part that people speak about in public speaking, body language,
Mhm.
voice, not speaking too far, those things, to be quite honest, you see a lot of them on ebooks, on YouTube. Those things are there. They're really good tips. But the ones I'm sharing are the ones that, when you add to what you've learned on YouTube, will actually turn things around. It will
Yeah.
really set you apart. Because what you want to do with your speech is you always want to stand out from the crowd. You
Mhm.
don't want to be, oh, there was a guy, I'm not sure who he was. You want them to remember that, yes, there was a Samuel Banjo. He stood out, and I followed him on LinkedIn, and I've connected with him, and I'm meeting with him on Thursday, and I've
Yeah.
prepared half of my budget for this guy. So this guy's going to get paid. That's what you want to happen,
That's right.
right? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, how important? Thank you for explaining that. And
Sure.
like I said, I bought into it as you were speaking. But how important is branding for a public speaker? Is it important? Is it necessary? Yeah. Does it make you stand out?
Oh boy, you know what? This is going to be one of those double whammy ones. So we've spoken about influence, persuasion. I've given you some really good examples. And if you're just joining us and you've missed it, please just press rewind. You're going to absolutely love this,
Hmm.
because the truth is that the content of the speech is incredibly important. And then the vehicle. So the vehicle in this situation is probably your voice, your energy, your tone, your body language. But then all that put together becomes your brand, right? So
Mm.
some people think of brands and think that's a logo there or
Mhm.
that's it there. But, you know, combining all the things you've got together becomes your, well, I would call it your signature, but
Yeah.
your signature
Yeah.
is also a brand. But do you know, I'm going to turn it on the head, because when it comes to branding, I know someone that I love the way they do their branding, right? And why is the person giggling? And that's you. Hello. The way you just do it. So you talk to us, right, a bit
Mhm.
about your mustard yellow and all the other colors that you put together, because I think that your that question was pertinent. There is the speech, there is the content, but there's the way you look, and that is
Yeah.
your. And I
Yeah.
think I would like you to contribute on that point. What do you think?
Okay. First of all, before I respond to the question, I read one of Queen Elizabeth's quotes, and someone had asked her, why does she always show up in vibrant colors, when she goes out to her engagements? And she says, if I wear the color beige, nobody will know who I am.
I
And I
like
was
that.
like, whoa, I love that. So, first and foremost, as a public speaker or as a business person or a brand, you want to be able to stand out wherever you go. And there was something you said, branding is really perception. So yes, the logos, the colors, all of that are what makes up your brand really. But the whole idea is, how do people perceive you? What is it they say about you as a brand, and when you come to that conclusion, this is how I want people to feel when they encounter me, when I'm speaking. This is how the response or reaction I want from people. You begin to now think, what colors convey that? What fonts can I use, maybe in my social media posts, that will convey that feeling? I love the color yellow. In fact, I was speaking with a friend a couple of days ago, and she says, oh, she was trying to do a rebrand, and she went searching colors and the meanings. And she said, oh, yellow actually means confidence. I said, exactly. why do you think I've been using yellow mustard specifically? She said, oh, I just thought you loved the color. I was like, no, it's intentional, because when people come across my brand, I want them to feel, happy, creative, lively, confident, joyful. And so I thought, okay, what colors will go with that? And that's how, when I was doing my branding exercise, we went for the color mustard. So really, really, it's the perception of people. How do you want people to feel or think about you? On a course recently, I asked some of the ladies, what comes to your mind when you come in contact with my brand? And they were like, oh, inspiring, colorful, energetic, empathetic. What was the other one? Music. I was like, exactly. Those are some of the things that, yes, I desire that when people come to any of my social media posts, they feel. And mustard yellow did that for me. Obviously, there are other colors, because when you're deciding on the colors to use on your brand, you have to think of the different colors, what they mean, the complementary colors, the tertiary colors, the secondary, and all of that, to just blend it and create that feeling for your audience when they come in contact with you or when you are speaking. So that's it, coach.
I like that. I like that. And I think you've just helped me summarize and wrap the whole thing. So, our public speeches out there, guys, if you're going to deliver it to your work colleagues, to a business partner, an investor, even to someone in your family, you have to remember that the actual body language, the tone, critical, but the content you're delivering, it has to be super influential. It has to connect with the heart of your audience. Even if it's
Mm,
a child, even if it's a 10-year-old child, you want to make sure you're connecting and using words that they understand. If it's a
yeah.
business, if it's an investor and they're thinking in terms of profit, use profitable words. If it's teammates, carry them along, add them to it. Make sure you start with them from the beginning. By the time you get to the middle, give the whole conversation direction, and then take it to the end, which is that call to action. Now I want you to sign up to my course. Now I want you to book an appointment in your calendar. Now I want you to click and buy. Tell
Yeah.
them what you want them to do. Never shy away from what you want them to do. When you put it all together and it's a signature, make sure you have those colors. And like Eloa said to us, mustard is the color we use to radiate confidence. I'm going to try out my mustard t-shirt.
Yeah, I do.
See what happened.
Coach, just before we round up, can
Mhm.
you share your top 5 tips to help overcome public speaking anxiety? Top five, top five. I know you've got loads, but the top five.
Good, good, good. Okay. Number one, this is going to sound very subtle, but you have to actually take this in. The first thing you need to do is you need to actually listen to my voice and realize that self-confidence is actually part of your DNA,
Mm,
right? So even if you're thinking or speaking and you get palpitations, I want you to know that palpitation is like an it's a warning of an external force. It's like another country trying to invade. Don't be afraid of the palpitations or the anxiety or
mm,
the wet hands. They're just
mm,
telling you something else is about to happen. But in your DNA, there is self-confidence, and you need to push it forward. You need to say it to yourself. So if you know you struggle with this, one of the first things you want to do is actually probably record it on your phone. How self-confident you are, how amazing you are, how articulate you are,
that's
and
right.
play it
Wow.
back to yourself.
So
Play it
powerful.
back to yourself because your brain will believe what it's told. So if you keep on repeating that, you just the same way you keep on hearing about McDonald's and you buy it, you hear about Starbucks and you buy it,
Mhm.
keep on telling yourself that you are super self-confident. That's point number one. When you've got that self-confidence there, which is number one. Number two, what I want you to do is to have structure on your conversations. Never just open up your mouth to speak. Always think of the end. At the end of this conversation, what do I want to happen? I want this person to buy off me. I want them to book this with me. Take it as a guide. It's almost like saying when you're in a business or in a relationship, you have a vision, you have a goal. You can't just play. You have to play towards a goal. I'm here to score. I'm here to press weight. I'm here to run. I'm here to buy a car. Why are you giving that conversation? Have the goal. Make sure it's clear. So number one is your self-confidence. Number two, have that goal. When you set that goal, focus on it.
Yeah.
In the midst of the noise, the midst of the doubt. Yes, it's there, but focus. You
Focus.
have
Yep.
self-confidence and then you focus. That's number two. Number three, what I want you to do is to make sure that your conversation has a buy-in. Whoever you're speaking to, there has to be some clear-cut benefits to them. It's almost like a child. If you, as a child, if you say, Mom, I don't like Ian because he blah 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 blah, right? And then you say he really makes me cross, and I really get angry. The bind to the parent is that, hold on, I don't want my child angry, I don't want my child cross. Therefore, I'm going to do something about this altercation with Ian, right?
Mm.
That's in the baby world. In an adult world, that other adult has to know what's in it for me. So you're coming with this. Does it mean that if you can't get along, productivity will go down? The manager suddenly think that, hold on, if productivity is going to go down, that concerns me. I need to do something about this. If it's an investor and they're expecting, I don't know, 33%, and you're saying that if this isn't rectified, we can slash that profit in half, they're going to take action. So you have to motivate your audience. Why are they listening to you? You have to tell them what your speech is going to do to make their life better.
Yeah.
Business audience, workers, family member, children, husband, wife, spouse, best friends. Why is it of interest to them? So one, self-confidence. Two, your goal, which is your vision. Three, there should be a buy-in there. Number four, I want you to really rehearse this, right? Rehearse it. And then number five, which is really easy. Well, it's not easy for some people. Do not speak in a hurry. Do not speak in a hurry. And when you're speaking to people, yeah, when you're speaking to people, as much as possible, have eye contact. Don't look over there when you're speaking. When you're speaking, try and connect with the eyes of everyone. Take time out to try and look at different people in the eye so that they're connect with you and that they trust you more, and they can just generally decide to take action because they trust you. So those are 5 simple tips.
Wow. Powerful. Thank you. Focus, your self-confidence, get the buy-in, rehearse, and what's the fifth one now?
Vision is vision. Goal.
Your goal, your goal,
What's
your
your goal? What's the goal of the speech? Yeah.
What's the goal? Wow. Thank you so much. It's been fun doing this with you.
Pleasure.
All righty.
Thank you, and take care, people. See you soon.